So I want to talk about a topic that's been on my mind for a while. Why do Christians fail to really act Christian-like in the real world? So when they claim that they are Christian, but their actions don't really show that they're Christian. And the answer that I really came up with is that their faith isn't really true to God. They don't really have true faith. I felt this personally when I used to go to youth group just kind of for the moment. I would just kind of go to there to be with my friends, and I really wasn't there for a relationship with God or to get to know God more. For me, I had youth group every Thursday, and really what I would kind of just do is like, oh hey, I'll see you next Thursday, and it's like everything that I just learned about, it's just all gone. And just from my experience, I say that most Christians can relate with that, is when we step outside, when we leave church, it's like God isn't in the picture anymore. We just go on into our normal lives with our normal friends, going into school, going into our jobs, going into our normal lifestyle that we have on earth, into the world. And when we go in the world, we fall back into the temptations of the world that our enemy has for us. Because really, when we go to church and we come back into the world, the enemy really he's just really trying to get at us. He really wants us to fail and not proclaim our faith like God wants us to. Unfortunately, most of the time, Satan wins. He wins us over, and we don't live Christian lives, and we fall into the temptations of this world. But on the other end, there's still God, who has never left, and he's still here wanting to bring us back. In Romans 12 verse 1 it says, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him." Verse 2 says, "Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect." So right there it's talking about how we shouldn't fall into the evils of this world, where we shouldn't fall into the temptations that Satan has for us. But that's really, when we have that mentality, I've had that mentality before, I'm not going to mess up, I'm fine. But that's the mentality that really, where we do mess up, where we do fall from God, we fall away from God. And whenever we think that we're the ones that are in control, it's when this stuff happens, when Satan takes control of us. When we think that we're in control, Satan sees that as an opportunity to take us away from God. Once we start to realize that the evils of this world are coming out to get us, and we start to avoid them, then God truly takes over. Like, he's always been here, but once he takes over our lives and we let him take over our lives, we start to realize our purpose in our lives, and God will show it to us and change the way we think, and which is good and pleasing and perfect. Once we start living true faith, people will actually see Jesus in us. People will actually see the Christians that we were meant to be. Really, they should see that there is life in our faith, and that there is a reason to have faith in God. In James 4 verse 7 it says, "So humble yourselves before God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." And it's just one day where I just prayed to God, just thinking, God, please just take over and allow me just to not fall from you and fall into these temptations. I want to get closer to you. Really crying out to God, really going to him, wanting him to take over. That starts a foundation for true faith. And that's what I just wanted to encourage those who proclaim to be Christians and their actions don't really show that they are Christian. Is just to really look at themselves and just kind of think, am I living the way that God would want me to live? Or do I need to change something? And really, I just encourage you to just pray to God and just to really ask that he takes over, if that is you. When we think that we have it all together, that's when we fall. But when we have God that's in control, when we let God take control, then we have it all. Because the things on this world are just temporary, but God is eternal.
Knowing I'm found in the light.